A long time ago, on a comics page far, far away. Greetings and welcome to May the Panel Be With You, the Star Wars comic book show brought to you by the Punch Up Entertainment Network. I'm your humble host, Mike Ergoni, and joining me, as always, the arsefivel to my porty, it's John Campbell.
Man, I want somebody to put together a compilation of all of those because... And then also play back from us years from now and go, what was this that he was referencing? And both of us like, I don't know what the hell that is.
I'm going to go with... no, John, this is easy because it's always the same thing I'm referencing, and that's two obscure characters that are never mentioned again.
Yeah. If that counts, then our answer is easy. Oh boy. Well, we're finishing up a two-parter, I guess you would say.
I would, in fact, say it is a two-parter. I don't know what else to call it. Yes.
Previously on Star Wars.
Star Wars. We are back into the heady days of 1980s Marvel Star Wars. Here on the distant cloud planet of Bespin, where there is apparently a battle, according to the cover here.
I mean, I can't say that this is a mislead. There is a battle. It is on Bespin.
So, 10 out of 10, no notes.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Well, we can get into the quality of that battle. And
Some
also,
notes.
Just some of the participants involved I have a lot of questions about.
All right. But let's get into it right off the bat. We are in Star Wars, the original series. This is number 57. It was originally released in March of 1982. We have a very familiar lineup of people who created this book because it's the same one as last time.
Hey, that makes it easy.
Now, there is a little bit of a discrepancy here that I would like to point out between what is written on the page and what is listed on how we're reading it, which is Marvel Unlimited.
Yes.
So, right off the bat, we have Dave Michelini listed as our writer in the book. Now, he is listed also as the writer in the credits on Marvel Unlimited, though he's given second billing to Walt Simonson, who is also listed as a plotter here.
Right, writer/plot, pencil/plot in the comic itself.
Mm-hmm. Now, in the Marvel Unlimited app, we also have a writing credit given to Louise Simonson.
She's credited as editor/plot in the comic.
So I have a feeling Michelini sort of got in the back seat on this one.
Yeah, it's like, I wonder if it's a thing where this idea of the Lando Cloud City stuff was, Michelini's idea, and then, like, they sort of took it and finished it. Like, the second half of this is more the what will be the Simonsons.
Well, and who knows, because the way the Marvel, bullpen and writer's room worked in this era, it could be any combination of all three of them, adding dialogue or story elements, or who knows.
Yeah, the, vision we have now of the auteur comics creator, at this time, really hasn't happened yet. So, it's just the mission is to get this done, so, Tom Palmer on Inks might have thrown in some story ideas for all we know and just didn't get credit. I'm just saying, that's the thing is and also I think we're still working on some level of Marvel method. So the idea that the story is what kind of script they have versus what's just sort of changing on the page. Mm-hmm. Everybody could probably be given a plot credit if they really wanted to.
Right. But needless to say, yes, Tom Palmer on inks, Glennis Ween, eventually Oliver on colors, and Joe Rosen on letters. Right. Let's get into this cover here.
Hold on, if I don't... Now that they're doing funny Jim Shooter credits...
Yeah.
Nerf herder in chief, sir!
All right, we're riffing on Shooter now, and I can appreciate that.
Nerf herder in chief. All right. Yeah, I just need... Yeah, I'll keep appraised of that.
Okay.
With each issue if that keeps up. But yes, let's start with this pretty sick cover.
Yeah, we got another Simonson cover.
Great.
Battle of Bespin. We've got... Actually, this is just straight up a scene that happens in this book later in the issue. So I appreciate that in a cover.
I do too. It's a little bit more lovingly rendered, and it's the cover, right? So it's like, can I say my favorite part of this is the stormtrooper armor exploding off as the laser blast is hitting them?
I was going to say the smoking hole in the top of this guy's helmet in the foreground.
I mean, same idea, right? But like the idea that their stuff is actually shooting through this armor, which has always seemed pretty useless to me. Because every time they get shot, like you've never seen stormtrooper armor deflect a shot.
Beskar, it ain't.
No, sir.
So it's like it's mostly
is it just
meant to stop people from like hurling rocks at them, I think.
Yeah, we've seen that. We've seen that. I guess when the Ewoks were throwing rocks at them, it was just like, eh.
Now, when they throw the really big rocks, again, armor does nothing.
No, it's a scale of how big a rock is, and I also feel like as you go up in the level of Stormtrooper, like Death Trooper armor, that's a little bit more heavy duty, right?
Tough to say. Who knows?
I mean, I guess that's true. We haven't really seen enough of it or it taking shots. I guess just because it's black, I thought it was cool. It's cooler. It looks cooler. I don't know.
I think the Stormtrooper armor is a lot like ballistic armor we have in the real world, whereas, like, okay, if there's shrapnel or stuff like flinging through the air, it'll probably save your life. But if you're just getting shot in the torso by some kind of high caliber weapon, it's probably not going to actually. I mean, it might slow the bullet down and like deflect it at a weird angle, so it might save you, but you're still getting hit real hard.
I mean, you can see that here. It's just exploding upon impact, basically. And also very, as we've talked about before, very Simonson. The energy blast of that thing impacting the armor and exploding off of it. It's so dynamic and exciting.
Totally. What's that Luke is holding in his left hand?
Flashlight?
Let's go with flashlight, because any other answer wouldn't make any sense.
Nope. And he doesn't use if it's another answer in the comic, so...
That's fair. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, we'll talk about dynamic pages.
Right.
Let's start with Lando hurtling towards his death.
When last we left our hero, he had been thrown from Cloud City, barreling perilously to the ground below.
Yeah, lest we forget, last issue, Lando got shoved off a catwalk over the edge of Cloud City, and now he is still falling. I love this page.
It's great. Yeah. Oh, who is he saying that to?
Lobot?
I guess. I mean, and that's who will help him. And we get a fairly wordy previously on, basically.
Yeah, long story short, Lando is here on Cloud City because he felt real bad that the Empire took over. He made a bit of a deal with a certain Imperial captain to try to save Cloud City from a bunch of bombs set by some disgruntled Ugnaughts. And then he was betrayed and thus hurled from the edge of his beloved Cloud City.
Yeah. And then there he goes. Hello, Bespin. Goodbye is the title of this.
I really love how dynamic this next page is, as we get a little bit more recap through the caption in this. But we start off real close next to Cloud City as we see the little tiny Lando. Then we zoom out and out and out and see just how screwed Lando is as he's plummeting to his death.
I also like the little moment where it's like zeroing in on him. That's very like Steranko, Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff.
Totally, totally.
Is great. And I just... is it Captain Treese? Is that his name?
Treese, yeah.
Yeah, I love... He just is a full-on psycho now. He's going, is it not a pity, Lobot? I mean that Bespin lies so far below. Why, I doubt we'll even be able to hear the splat.
What a jackass.
And then just laughter follows.
I love that he's not even, like, standing at the edge looking down. He's, like, crawled up to the edge and is peeking over.
I want to see as much of this as possible.
Also, Lobot, what's stopping you from just kicking this guy in the butt? Send him.
It does seem like that would solve a lot of problems here. And no, Lobot instead is like, well, actually, the bombs could come back on, and if that is the case, we need Lando, so...
Well, specifically, he says, I have analyzed the situation, Captain Treese, and have concluded that while the neutralized explosives no longer pose a threat to the city, you do.
You do. Yeah, that's what it is. It's that he realizes that this guy is still a problem, and so But once again, you would think the problem could be solved by him just throwing this guy off then.
No, he determines that the best solution to solve the trees problem is to go get Lando. So on this next page, he dashes to the emergency jetpack.
This made me laugh so much. It's not bad as much as it's just such goofy science fiction. The idea that they're like, oh, well, Cloud City did need some sort of emergency situation should someone fall off. Oh, well, there are just stations with jetpacks around. What? Also, physics be damned.
Look, sometimes you need a jetpack. And isn't it convenient that this is a place where they just have them lying around?
And literally, it's a break glass in case of emergency. He has to punch through glass and then pull out these life jets, replaced at intervals around the city's perimeter for emergency use in case of accident.
So the idea with these would be if somebody fell off the edge of Cloud City, somebody else would do exactly what Lobot is about to do.
Yeah. So this counts on you needing at least one other person with you if you fell off of.
And that one other person has to be willing to strap on a jetpack and dive off of Cloud City.
Yeah. It's so silly, but I also love it.
I do love it.
It's I'm of two minds about it. Like, in a Star Wars comic from the 1980s, I love it. If this was in a Star Wars movie, I would be like, I guess the Star Wars franchise is over.
I don't know, though, because, like, this is very much that spy movie thing. If somebody gets thrown off an airplane, the spy grabs the parachute and dives after them.
No, not that. But the idea that there's an actual procedure for this at intervals is more the idea that they have emergency jetpacks. Them just diving after him is fine, but the idea that it's just like, oh yeah, we were ready for this. We've got these jetpacks, and you're like, yeah, that plan doesn't. All right.
It's okay, but Lobot, being a cyborg, feels no fear. He merely feels the rush of sudden wind.
This is the thing about Lobot, right? He's a cyborg. Mm-hmm. But yet they really do write him as pure robot. He feels no fear. It's like, I have so many questions about how much humanity is left in Lobot, because the way he's written in this is pretty much pure robot. He just has, organic parts.
This book writes him as an android, not a cyborg.
Correct. That's the thing that's very interesting. And if anything, like with a line like that, where it's like he feels no fear because he's a cyborg, you're just going like, okay, so you've actually gotten rid of the most dramatically interesting thing about a cyborg, which is there are human robot components and there's an inherent like conflict there, or
right, which is
dramatic potential.
The whole character dynamic with Valance, right?
Oh, we do love Valance.
But his whole thing of just like self-hating because I have become the thing that I wish to destroy.
Right, it's just like that's the thing with Lobot in this, as I'm saying, right? Is you're just going like, oh well, Lobot isn't interesting at all. Then he's just a robot who does cool stuff.
Which, sure,
because great, but we have plenty of robots in Star Wars.
Yeah, but he's gonna dive off of this and do some cool stuff. So the jetpack's not gonna be able to carry them back up to Cloud City, but what he can do is swoop down here. Somehow, Lando and Lobot are able to shout at each other over the rush of wind. Don't worry about that.
No, I mean, this is where you lose any kind of... But, I mean, whatever. It's space opera. It's fine.
Yeah. He walks Lando through some skydiving techniques.
Yeah, and once again, because he's just a robot, basically. I also like him calling him Sir. Sir, it will be necessary for you to decrease your rate of descent in order for me to catch up to you. Sir, if you could just stay calm.
While I come down there and catch you with my armpit rockets.
Yep.
It totally looks like those rockets are coming out of his armpits.
It really does. Well, because it came out of like a little chute, so this thing is very flimsy, right? Like it's just a little. It's basically just two rocket jets on a strap.
Yeah, and they're not even really meant to let you fly so much as slow your descent, which I guess is life-saving.
I suppose so. Hit those rockets, Lobot, fast!
And precisely what I had in mind, sir, with a whoosh.
Yeah. And then they land, and boy, this gets into some of the stuff we talked about, the surface of Bespin last week.
Okay, look, Bespin just like officially isn't a gas giant now with the establishment of this, and that's fine.
No, there's like a little forest and a swamp and stuff. I mean, it looks more like Dagobah.
Yeah. While below, on Bespin, all is quiet along a mist-covered marsh of liquefied gas, a hazy swamp that has given rise to some of the most bizarre life forms in the galaxy, both plant and animal. Because we established last issue, Bespin, according to this, again, has been retconned since, is the homeworld of the Ugnaughts, those little pig guys that were the mechanics and junkers on Cloud City.
Yep. And they're, as we were discussing beforehand, they're pirates.
Yes, so we come in now with our crew of Ugnaughts that are down here on the surface, riding around, and I love their ship, actually. I love this little boat that's being carried aloft by Tabana gas balloons. It's like a weird little hover blimp.
Cool.
And they're floating around down there, and we are introduced to Ars Fivel of Action Tidings News.
Okay. All right. I think you knew this is what I was going to want to get into, obviously, right?
What, the Action News team that is the secondary characters of this issue?
Where is this broadcasting to?
All of Bespin.
There's Ugnaught, yeah. Here on Bespin's #1 source for news.
I mean, that's what he's saying to the camera.
I mean, have we ever seen anything like that in Star Wars? I'm trying to think, like...
Not in any of the movies, no.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen, like, there have been broadcasts within Star Wars, but they never read as, like, news. Like, is there a CNN? Is there a GNN? Is there a Galactic News Network?
You actually just said the name of the network, yes.
Yeah, I thought that was the case. I thought that did come.
How deep do you want me to go on this, John?
As always, within reason, Gergoni. I trust her. I trust your podcasting instincts.
Okay, so within the Star Wars universe, as modern canon dictates, there is what's called the extranet, right? It's basically the internet equivalent in Star Wars.
Right.
And you can have extranet broadcasts across the galaxy. A lot of the times they're highly regulated by the Empire in this era. So, like, the GNN, Galactic News Network, is basically Imperial propaganda.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Now, you can have planetary extranets that are just broadcasting over the planet. And we've seen stuff like that in Rebels, where you'd have like an extranet broadcast across all of a single planet. Anything that would go galaxy-wide is usually some kind of pirate signal, which is also in Rebels. We get all of Mon Mothma's like breaking away from the Senate stuff.
You do. The thing about this is none of this is ever read as television as we know it, to me, is the thing, I guess, that is what gets me about this.
Yeah, it's usually some kind of like hollow report, and so you just get a projection of somebody. Occasionally in novels and in comics we'll get identifying like, oh, there's some kind of reporter giving broadcasts from this location. Now what those precisely look like, sort of, I mean, in some comics, we do just straight up see a news desk. Like, that does exist in Star Wars. It's never been depicted really in the shows or movies.
I think the other thing about that is, if that's on Coruscant, okay. Bespin? Not Cloud City. Bespin. The gas giant. Where is this broadcasting to?
I'm going to say all the other Ugnaughts.
I guess, so they're little Ugnaughts like in their huts on this with their little TVs tuned to...
How dare you, John, be so reductive of Ugnaught society? They have these flying little blimp things. We see a whole city of them later.
Guess so. But it's all just on... Which is a huge, interesting question, too, about, like, were they just flying up to Cloud City for work? Were they living up there?
We get answers for that later.
I guess. Maybe I didn't pay enough attention to this.
Reading the book explains the book, John. Let's get into this, because, here's Ars Fivel of Action Tidings News.
Hello, everybody.
Good afternoon to ye. This be Ars Fivel, reporting for Action Tidings.
I will say, I do enjoy that it's a piratey newscast, though.
We do, unlike a lot of this book, we do get a little asterisk translated from Ugnaught.
Yes, which I did appreciate.
So
but
he goes on to say that they're reporting live from where they estimate Cloud City will crash down.
Yeah, any minute now we'd be expecting a report about it. But this starts and will continue forward. Something that really gets me about this. Let's say I give them TV broadcasts. They're shooting on film?
Yeah,
Physical
100%.
film?
Hollow film, John. Come on.
Which makes even less sense. The hell does that mean?
That means this was written in 1982 and they never considered anything else.
Tape exists. Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like local news wasn't shooting on canisters of film in 1982.
Look, just because you don't appreciate the picture quality of Ugnaught Action Tidings News doesn't mean that their viewers don't appreciate that extra film grain that you get from recording straight to film, all right?
Are we the most cinematic of news networks?
We tend to capture the warm colors better than those jackholes over at Action News Tidings. No, here at Action Tidings News, we get the real grit.
That's why we're number one, and they'll be stuck as number two. God damn it! All right, it's very. I enjoy all of this, but it is very silly. This is a silly. Very silly issue comic.
So stuff starts falling though, and pops one of their balloons, and they're kind of going like, "Oh no, what's going on?"
They plotched us good.
Plotched.
Yeah, plotched is good. It starts leaking and it's sinking into the water of this gas jar. I don't know.
Don't worry about it. Moving forward, they see something falling, and Ars Fivel says, "Porty, get the shot." You never stop rolling camera.
Porty, did you get it? Tell me you got the shot.
As Lando and Lobot poloosh into the water below.
Yep. Oh man. I was really worried because, it's very hard to survive a poloosh that big.
It's true. But they get pulled up out of the water only for the Ugnaughts to turn on Lando and go, "Calrissian? You mean that Hume that used to run Cloud City? Well, better lynch him."
I gotta say, not super comfortable with the use of that word in context of Lando.
No.
I don't think anyone thought about that. And then later, we're going to talk about slavery in a way that is also weird.
Yeah, look, Lando being the only black guy in a galaxy far, far away up to this point makes for some very uncomfortable racial issues that are probably brought up innocently, but in hindsight are done very ham-fistedly.
Yes. Yeesh. Anyway,
so when the Ugnaughts call to lynch Lando Calrissian, it's a little bit of a yikes.
Yeah, I was like, pick any other word.
Yeah.
Execute him. I don't care. Yikes. Anyway, but not before Zach.
We are interrupted by a Zach. Levi? No, it's in fact Zach made by laser blasts.
Yeah. Sorry, folks. The welcome's gonna have to wait. We've got company riding in on Imperial skimmers. Kids, look for them at Sears next time you're there.
Look, you have a problem with the informed electorate of the Ugnaught Society through the Fifth Estate. I have a problem with Imperial fanboats.
Imperial fanboats also very silly. I mean, once again, everything in this is so silly.
Why on earth would you need a fanboat when every vehicle we've seen in Star Wars is a hovercraft?
Yeah, and it's so good. With it, swamps once again, and they're really leaning into swamps, which feels more dignified. But they're really leaning into the swamp aesthetic, including having fan boats. Yeah, it does feel like that would be slower and less convenient than a speeder. But and then also these stormtroopers gathered. He just fell off Cloud City.
Yeah, I feel like
it.
The implication here is that these were stormtroopers that got. I mean, they even say must be the stormtroopers who were evacuated from Cloud City.
I guess.
Because they remember all of them left Cloud City when they thought the bombs were going to go off.
Yes, that's true. But I'm just saying, they're very aware of what's happening. I guess maybe they were watching the broadcast.
Maybe they saw the guys in jetpacks descending from the heavens.
Yeah, and they were like, "Get the skimmer, boys."
As a little banjo starts playing, and it turns into, oh, what's the Swamp Chase James Bond movie?
Oh, well, that's Live and Let Die.
Live and Let Die. Got it.
That's in New Orleans, and that introduces the great Sheriff J. Dub Pepple.
Great is a word you choose to use there.
You some kind of doomsday machine. All right.
But anyway, yeah, I know. So, Ars Fliffle is saying, get the shot, but they don't have any guns.
Yeah. Aye, laddie, you heard the man. So silly. Why did they speak like pirates?
I don't know.
That's just a random decision. No, it's a total why not, which is, Yahar.
So Lando, realizing they don't have guns, has to make up an improvised solution. And thankfully, he has remembered all the summer camps he went to where they constructed water balloon catapults.
This is leaning, speaking of 80s, this is leaning very A-Team with this improvised weaponry and stuff.
So he rushes over to the camera with its strip of film that you were so negative about, John.
Well, it really worked out for them.
Yeah, especially considering, you know how elastic film is.
Oh, yeah, man. Nothing fragile about that at all. He would have been better off using it as an incendiary, honestly. But, although I guess I don't know much about. I know more about photochemical film. This is hollow film. I don't really know how this works.
What we do know about hollow film, incredibly stretchy.
Yes, I guess so. Yeah.
Because they peel off strips of this stuff, they tie it to two of the handholds on the bulkhead, and then they use it to catapult the camera at the Imperial fan boat.
Oh, I think this. I was saying to you before, we've been doing pirates. So I was saying they read Scottish. Should we? I think it starts here when the guy says, "Och, me camera." That's where they started to sound a little Scottish to me.
That's fair.
I didn't know Shrek started his career in a Star Wars comic. That's the thing that got me.
Especially in journalism. You didn't realize he had a journalism degree. Yeah.
He was very proud of that. If you look closely, the diploma's on his wall and his lot there.
The whole reason he's living by himself in the swamp is because he's lost faith in the electorate.
Yeah. There's inconsistencies, donkey! It doesn't add up.
They don't want to hear the truth. They just want to be angry.
Scathing political indictment, that movie, actually. It's just, you got to read between the lines. And so, yeah, here he goes. He's going to... Now, if I can angle this just right. Spring!
No, not the film.
Spring!
Get a good sproing as he launches this film canister like a water balloon catapult at the Imperial fan boat. And that is a sentence I just said.
Not only is the fan boat less convenient than the hovering speeders they normally have, they also stupidly did not put one of those cages around the fan like actual fan boats we now have. So this thing just collides right into the rotors of this and sends it crashing.
It goes croosh, pa, ba, boom on the next page.
And everyone is incinerated. All right.
And the second fan boat, which is established in this panel, then zooms away.
Yep. Fuck that shit, man. They might have other cameras to hurl it at. I mean, it was sort of a one-off. If that other one had come, it probably could have taken them.
Well, Lando does say here, then let's get out of here before the other skimmer realizes our secret weapon was a film can and comes back mad.
Yep. Oh, no. Anyway, don't worry, though. The Tabana bladders have been repaired and reinflated. That happened quick. These Ugnods do good work.
Oh, we already knew this. They are a very, determined bunch when it comes to building and rebuilding things.
Yes, for sure. And so, then let's get out of here, he said, screaming at the top of his lungs.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, he says in the bottom right panel. I love this line from the Ugnaughts. Yeah. So, we've decided to take you back to our capital and let our leader condemn you to death.
You saved our life, so we'd feel bad. But if somebody else wants to sentence you to death, oh well, that's their decision.
Our king will be sending you to Davy Jones' locker.
Oh, these pirates. These pirates. Anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna cut back up to Cloud City though for brief period.
Meanwhile, in Cloud City,
Captain Treese is still kind of poking around when he sees a couple of X-wings swinging in. What?
yeah, and he's just like, oh shit.
I love the passive-aggressive caption work here in the middle bottom panel when he's thinking to himself, but what in blazes are they doing here? And the caption responds with, apparently they're landing.
The Michelini has done this before, which is the very much like he's having the book speak to the characters. Hey, dumb.
It's Claremontian. Like, Claremont was so good at being like, oh, you poor, stupid idiot. You think you know what's happening, Scott Summers.
He is so rough on Scott Summers. In that.
Every life is rough on Scott Summers, John.
There's so much like, you have no idea what's in store for you, Scott. Oh, boy. You've really just stepped it, and you don't even know it yet.
But who's popping out of these X-Wings? It's Luke Skywalker and secondary new character.
Oh, what's her name? Oh, Shira.
Shira Bry. Shira Bry? How do you say that?
I say brie because that's spelled like the cheese.
It is spelled like the cheese, so I'm going to stick with that.
Brie is also spelled the same like that, so I'm guessing the... Anyway. Yeah, so they step out. I'm really curious to see if they try to make this character into anything, because they've really pumped her up in the last couple issues here. As a potential, like, love interest for Luke, maybe?
Yeah, just, like, female X-Wing pilot who is always tagging along with Luke. Luke needs a good sidekick, and, like, making Leia a fighter pilot would seem strange.
Although they've done it.
I mean, she was flying around that speeder last time. That's true.
Can I ask, too, where's our boy Wedge?
He's off in his own comic book series that won't be published for another 20 years.
Yeah, that's right. He's having adventures that we'll hear about years later.
Yeah.
So they're walking around going, there's nobody here. This seems very odd. R2, why don't you... Man, talk about R2 as Deus Ex Machina here.
Oh, just plug in and find out what... R2, recap the last issue for us.
So he patadits, and we turn the page, and he's like, well... R2 says everything that just happened in the last issue. So now we're all caught up, and let's keep going.
But Treese is going to call in and go, because he overhears Shira talking to Luke, and so he says, Luke Skywalker? I know that name.
There is so much of Captain Treese wandering around, like in the shadows, thinking to himself in this. Wait a minute. If that's the rebel Lord Vader is looking for, my seat in the Imperial Senate is assured. This guy's got political ambitions.
Okay. Now, I know this comic isn't aware of these facts, but
that there is no Imperial Senate?
There, at this point, no, right? Like,
yeah, we've talked about this.
There's an opening incident when in A New Hope when he's like, and the Imperial Senate has been dissolved because of Death Star.
Guess word didn't get to Bespin.
I guess. Or Treese is just like, you know what? I'm going to make a new Senate with blackjack and hookers.
That's actually what he's going to do. He's like, I'm going to leverage capturing Skywalker into bringing back the Senate so I can be on it.
I wouldn't recommend. The Imperial Senate, by all accounts, terrible place. There's a reason Mon Mothma left.
Of course. Because it was for show anyway, once it became an empire, right? Like,
yeah.
What was the point even then?
The point was to cow systems into slowly accepting a totalitarian regime rather than just...
It was always going to be a transitionary thing, right? Because it was, we're heading to empire.
I'm reading the new book, The Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire right now, and there's actually a whole chapter devoted to, like, how a democracy is cowed into a dictatorship that revolves around, like, the slow crumbling of the both stature and power of the Galactic Senate. Interesting stuff.
So you really have a lot of information on what he's talking about here.
I do, and it's bullshit. So,
Of course, because they don't know.
They
Although they should know.
it is a line. I would feel like anything in the movies directly should be like sacrosanct, right? Like, so, like, if Tarkin says the Imperial Senate has been dissolved, I feel like that should be a truth going forward.
Because that's the thing about these. The further we go into this comic, the less the excuse of, well, they don't know works. Because, like, between New Hope and now Empire, there is stuff where it's like, you did hear them call Bespin a gas giant, right? Like,
but
what does that mean?
What does that mean? What people know about what consists of the interior of a gas giant is actually rapidly changing science in 1982. To be fair,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like, when does Cassini launch the Jupiter probes?
That's a real thing, Gorgoni. I don't know.
I know.
Cassini law.
1997.
So yeah, I mean, I was gonna say that was within our lifetime.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, there's a lot we don't know about gas giants in 1982.
I guess that's true. It's just it's another crazy thing to read. All right, but they should know about the Imperial Senate.
Anyway, Luke gets a funny feeling because he has the Force. Remember?
Yeah. And then a very Simonson panel of them diving away from the most explosive blaster shot I've ever seen.
From a handgun, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus Christ, this guy. He's packing a hand cannon.
Yeah, look, he's going full Dirty Harry on these guys because he opens fire on Luke and Shira. Luke knocks her out of the way. They duck and cover. And then he's basically... Treese is like, I just got to pin these guys down until my troops show up.
Mm-hmm.
Then I can hand Skywalker off to Vader and make my name.
Even let's take Luke's Jedi abilities out of this, that's still a lot to think this one guy is going to hold back two, rebel soldiers.
I don't know, like, they're on this catwalk, they're in this contained area, like, I think he's got a pretty decent plan here.
I guess, yeah, I mean, I guess we don't know how long exactly it's going to take for them to get.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
Back down on the steamy, sweltering planet below.
Oh, ma. Now they're in the deep south, according to me. So, all right, yeah. A different karting?
No,
what?
this is the Ugnaught City.
Yeah, while a different karting nears its end. Just use of the word karting is my question.
I mean, I guess Lando is being carted to the city.
Yeah, you just don't hear people say karting a lot, though.
Yeah.
Who's carting them around? I guess maybe. I don't know. A patchwork maze of stilt house dwellings. I stand by. It's a patchwork maze of stilt house dwellings. All right, maybe I was a little, with their huts, but this is not exactly a metropolitan,
Disagree, because I think the art here kind of goes at odds with the words describing it.
Well, that's always the case in this case.
Because Simonson has given us this big kind of like floating city, and we see hundreds of Ugnaughts sort of seeing this ship dock and land.
Ah, yeah?
This looks like a pretty big, bustling place, and they need a firm, truth-telling news organization to spread the news, all right?
Yep. I am just happy that Peter Dinklage was getting work back in the 80s. This mustachioed king of the Ugnaughts.
Oh, on the next page?
Yeah, is a total Tyrion Lannister.
Yeah, so yeah, on the next page we have Lando being brought before the king of the Ugnaughts.
I'm sorry, not the king of the Ugnaughts. I mean the guy who brings him there.
Oh, that's Ars Fivel.
Oh, well then that's the... How'd he get off the ship already?
Don't worry about it.
That's okay. I hope their Grand Majestic Mucky Muck has stayed that way. A word of advice, laddie. When addressing our leader, you might try using king instead of Mucky Muck. I think your next of kin would appreciate it.
Right.
Oh, the Ugnaughts are so weird in this.
I love the Ugnaughts. And the one Ugnaught next to Ars Fivel just never stops filming this whole time.
Keep it rolling, boys.
Can't miss
Did
a
we
shot.
get that? I feel like he should just keep going. Did we get that? Yeah.
So, yeah, Lando is brought before the King of the Ugnaughts. King
King of the
Oz.
Yeah. Who's just chilling on that throne, man. Look at how much he's sitting back.
Look,
What's up?
I love a good, super relaxed king. It really beats an uptight, like, hard-ass king, in my opinion.
What's up? Yeah. What you want?
So, Lando starts conversing with the King of the Ugnaughts. He tells him about the kind of conversation he had with Treese, and the King of the Ugnaughts is like, oh, is that what he said? Well, okay. Treese was under the impression that the Ugnaughts sabotaged Cloud City because the Ugnaughts wanted to move all the Tabana gas mining down to the surface of the planet. That's not the whole story, is what we find out from the King here.
Right.
What Treese was doing on Cloud City was ramping up the Tabana gas mining production, and in doing so was throwing the environment of Bespin all out of whack.
Right.
He was also working people to death.
Well, that's particularly bad.
Also bad.
Yes. The thing about this, how much time has passed
Couple of weeks.
Empire? Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, the Empire took over so quickly and threw everything into disarray instantly.
I mean, they're pretty good at that, John.
They are. It just feels like, man, for it to already be this bad, and Lando left, maybe a couple months ago at most.
Also, we don't know how precarious the environment is on Bespin. Maybe they were just, like, right up there towing the line in terms of ecological disaster before the Empire showed up. And the Empire was like, if we crank this up 2%, yeah, it'll kill everyone on the surface. But we will increase our Tabana extraction process by a whole 2%.
Hey, man, I always made sure we went right up to the edge of ecological disaster, but never went over. So I was a better leader.
Yeah.
All of it makes Lando look shittier, right? Like, I think is sort of the thing that gets me. If it was already bad enough that the Empire basically just had to, like, turn a knob slightly to the right, like, then Lando doesn't look great.
But anyway,
All
Lando
right.
looks a little bit better when he gets his Jesus panel at the bottom of right-hand corner of this page.
But here's the thing about this. Now, I understand. The idea is, like, maybe Lando is just, like a lot of us, horrified by the concept of slavery in general. But I think they want me to bring our real world's history into this. Am I crazy for thinking that?
It's not
he's like,
not
"No."
coded that way.
That's the thing. It's not explicit, but it's definitely implicit, and that's insane.
Because the King of the Ugnaught says, but he weren't just destroying our home. He was working our people till they was dropping like manrits. And that's when we decided to do something about it. And so, Lando turns around to mean, you mean Treese turned my city into a slave camp? King, you've just lost yourself an enemy and gained the meanest, maddest friend you've ever had.
I mean, I do like that line, but it just is like, okay, yeah, like I said, it's not overt, but it's heavily implied that he is referring to as a black man.
Yeah.
But you're like, yeah, but number one, what is black in the world of Star Wars? Like, there's all kind, and then certainly the idea that it's like America didn't exist to bring people from also non-existent Africa. Like, it raises some interesting things.
Well, and look, Lando can be against slavery just on
definitely can't. No, that's what I'm saying. It's why it's borderline. Like I said, it's one of those things where I'm like, is this? It feels impossible not to, though. It brings some of that in.
It toes the line, to be sure.
Like if Han Solo said those, or Princess Leia said it, it'd be like, oh yeah, of course, yeah. And of course Lando would be against his city being turned into a slave camp. But especially the way it's drawn, too, the Jesus-y moment.
Because
I don't know.
I call it a Jesus-y moment because you have this, like, sun stained glass motif appear behind Lando as he's delivering this line. It's just like, oh, 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 oh.
Yeah. For I am your savior, Ugnaughts.
Yeah, look, Lando being the savior of the Ugnaughts is also a little problematic, not gonna lie, but
Mhm.
anyway. Back up on Cloud City, we've got Luke and Shira in a tough pickle.
Yeah. I also like her calling him Ace.
Yeah,
Heads
she
up.
keeps doing that.
Yeah, I think they really want to write her as like a 1930s sort of heroine. Like, heads up, Ace, we got trouble.
Actually, now that you say that, all of her lines make way more sense.
Right, this sort of like Amelia Earhart, fearless flyer kind of thing, right? Where it's got that vibe of like, I'm an old-timey gal. I can fly a plane, shoot a pistol.
And punch a Nazi when it comes to it.
Yeah, it's got that Katharine Hepburn sort of like, hey, I ain't no girly girl, all right? I can serve in the military just like the fellas.
Anyway, they see a troop transport coming in, and Luke, in one of the dumbest lines in this comic, says, "Oh, I don't suppose they've just dropped by for a rest stop and a couple of sandwiches."
This book, it seems like it doesn't matter who's writing it. This book can't help but have dialogue like this.
But they're now under fire from a bunch of stormtroopers with a Fertau and a Fratch and a Badam and a Womp and a Crow and a Fram.
I mean, those are all the classic sounds of Imperial weaponry, obviously. Yeah.
And Shira's like, gosh, I love a man with a sense of humor.
That's what I mean. Everything is supposed to be like, just like, rat-a-tat-tat, his girl Friday, kind of. Zip-zap-da-doo, see there, Ace.
I'm going to read all of her lines like that from now on.
Oh, sure, that's right there. Yeah, she's got a transatlantic accent, there's no question.
Mm-hmm.
As nearby at that moment, here comes Lando and the Ugnaughts.
Yep, they're scooching on up with their weird blimp car, and Lando's got a plan, and it's going to involve Lobot.
Another great line. Are ye sure this plan of yours will work, bucko? Bucko.
Now,
hey, bucko.
Keep in mind, the comic book stated that all of this is being translated from Ugnaught.
Yeah.
The only Ugnaught we've ever seen speak in Galactic Basic is Nick Nolte, right?
Yes. Queel.
Yeah, Queel.
Yeah.
Every other Ugnaught, including most of the ones who get the screen time in Rebels as Hondo Onaka's like sidekick, speak in squeals.
Correct.
They speak like...
Which is always what I imagine them talking like before Queel. And even Queel has this very specific, of course, like, Nick Nolte, but Nick Nolte is also doing the very stilted, quick, sort of whispery statements like this, you know.
I have spoken.
I have spoken. I agree with the fellows over at We Hate Movies. What a gift that line is, because it's just like, sir, you can't park it. I have spoken. I have spoken. You can always just shut everything down. I have spoken.
So Lando and Lobot are going away, but he says, hey, Ugnaughts, stay here, stay out of trouble.
Also, I'm glad they brought the whole TV crew this time.
But the Action News team is not to be deterred.
No. Hey, we're talking about Ars Fivel here, man. Ace War Reporter.
He doesn't have 3 Pulitzers for nothing, okay?
Get me in the action. I'll never forget the days of the Bespin battle.
But unless me ears is telling stories, that's gunfire coming from over yonder. And you know what that means. An exclusive.
My byline!
So the action-tiding news team charges into action.
It's so silly.
It's so silly.
I enjoy it, but it's so goofy.
Okay. Of the, like, panoply of Ugnaught news team that we see charging in this top left panel, who is the Anchorman equivalence to whom? Obviously, Ars Fivel is our Ron Burgundy.
Of course.
I think Porty is the one on camera, so he's probably, I don't know.
I mean, is he? Nah.
He's not our Brick Tamlin, that's for sure. I think that's the guy in the Snow White and the Seven Dwarves costume in the middle there.
The striped shirt guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I think I think the guy to the right is Man in the Field, Brian Fantana.
Of course. Okay.
Yeah. I think Body is actually a Fred Willard. I think because he's the behind the scenes guy. I think he's
Okay.
Yeah. And then I think the guy in between the two foreground guys, that's your sports with Champ Kind.
Okay. So
And then behind Body is Chris Parnell.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Yeah. So there you go. Let's go, lads. Journalism. Oh! It's just the silly.
Lights good. Speed. You're on ours. Good afternoon. Yeah. This be Arse Fizzle, bringing you live coverage of the fight for Cloud City, and a gallant struggle it is.
Live coverage.
Yeah.
On film.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Hollow film, John. Hollow film.
Yeah.
It's very stretchy.
Both filming to something and being broadcast?
Correct, yes.
All right, sure. A gallant struggle it is. A pair of courageous, but woefully outnumbered rebels is squared off against a horde of Imperial war dogs. We're open to have interviews. Excuse me, Mr. Skywalker. Just a quick moment. Do you have something to say to the people?
No, and the best part is this, so as Arsfivel is announcing all of this, everybody stops.
Yeah.
So, Shira looks up, Luke looks up, the Imperials are like, what the hell is that?
Because I love Ars going, whoop, just a moment. Whoop, there seems to be a break in the fighting. A break apparently caused by us.
Oh no, as a documentarian, I swore never to get close to me subjects, and yet here we are.
Oh, those years in journalism school wasted. Curse. And Teresa's just like, kill him. Where could this possibly be broadcasting to?
Just this would be the Ugnaughts, as far as I know.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, yeah, even with a camera on and fucking murder everybody, I'm pretty sure we can squash this report.
And to be fair, before they can actually, go ahead with that, we do have Lando interrupting.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that if I were you.
And Luke turning up and going, well, I'll be. It's Lando.
Lando! It's our old buddy Lando.
We love Lando.
Yeah. And he says, if you don't get your men out of here fast, I'll have Lobot rearm the explosives and blow us all into the next star system.
And Treese, like a stone cold badass, is like, oh yeah, and just shoots Lobot in the head.
I mean, I thought first, I'm like, Jesus Christ, did this comic kill off Lobot? I mean, the way it's drawn, it looks like a murder.
I think that was definitely the intent from our Imperial bastard here.
Yeah, the fact that he's just okay later is insane.
Yeah, look, Lando can fix him. He knows brain surgery now.
Yeah, but it's like, but it feels like there should be some of his headpiece left. This thing just blew off half of the thing that controls his brain. And then, oh boy, the sniveling, satisfied grin on Teresa's face here.
This is some great work from Simonson, I gotta say.
No, it's great, disgusting bad guy. Like, it appears, Calrissian, you've lost the only being capable of rearming those bombs without touching them. Remember how he has, techno force? It doesn't make sense, but we've established it. To put it more simply, check and mate.
Let's not get into the rabbit hole of whether or not chess exists in the Star Wars universe.
Hollow chess does. I guess we're to assume that you still use checkmate in...
Sure, why not? Moving on.
Yeah, that's fine, actually. But just what a piece of shit this guy is.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But then,
thankfully, we have a secondary Deus Ex Machina waiting in the wings, and his name is Luke Skywalker.
His name is Adam Warlock. I'm sorry, Luke Skywalker. Look at this drawing. When his eyes go full white like this, all I could think of was our beloved space Jesus, Adam Warlock.
I mean, he also has a pretty Adam Warlock-y pose in this middle top panel, when he's got the one hand clutching the orange in the back, and the other hand reaching forward.
Yeah, it's very, which makes a lot of sense, right? Not that Simonson specifically, but Simonson, crazy, cosmic, insane Marvel stuff. You totally see that that's his bag.
As Luke cries out, the Lobot, wasn't the only one who could move things without touching them. Take a look.
last issue they went crazy on the Lobot. Here they kind of don't. And then when they did start again, I was like, oh, right. Weird.
Well, earlier in the issue, Luke says Lando was palling around with a Lobot.
Even weirder.
Yeah, I preferred the definitive, the, as opposed to just, he is one of many.
Yeah, I don't like to think there's a bunch of Lobots out there. It really damages how cool Lobot is then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I kind of wish the Force was represented like this in more stuff. Like, boop, 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 boop.
And yeah, Luke reaches out with the Force to arm a bunch of bombs.
Insane. This is
it.
wild. This is wild.
But Luke Skywalker's burgeoning command of the Force, the elemental energy that surrounds and permeates all things, is not limited to parlor tricks, for he now uses that ability to seek out the 11 remaining bombs hidden by the Ugnaughts on Cloud City, and having located them, arms them.
We're all going to hell tonight, says Luke Skywalker.
I do love the 4 panels, like, sequence here of all the bombs being armed and the stormtroopers reacting, going like, hey, what? Uh-oh.
Sir. Can someone tell these bombs to move along?
Well, as we know, these bombs are sarcastic Bostonians, and that just won't do it.
Hey, we're active again. It's crazy. What's up? I thought we were all asleep. Oh, man. Actually, when you say Bostonians, now I kind of want to hear Bill Burr.
Bill Burr as bomb.
Yeah, well, Bill Burr is the only Bostonian in a galaxy far, far away, as far as I'm aware.
The frickin' Empire, man.
Yeah, freaking. I wasn't a stormtrooper.
Stormtrooper.
I am delighted by that forever. I do have an action figure of that character just because, I mean, I love that character, but also I'm just like, I can't believe I have a Bill Burr action figure.
I'm sure Bill Burr can't believe you have a Bill Burr action figure.
Yeah! I'm an action figure now. What the fuck? Like, yeah.
Anyway, Luke, going full supervillain, raises his gloved hands to the sky like Doctor Doom.
Yeah. I mean, once again, a definite preview of the kind of poses we'll get come Simonson Thor.
Yeah, as Luke shouts to the heavens, the bombs are now active. You have 30 seconds to escape, or you'll all die.
Man, Luke, this is pretty bad. I will say, this is actually, without them knowing it, a good seeding to the Luke we'll see in Return of the Jedi.
I mean, that's Shira going, Luke, you can't be serious.
Yeah. Come on now, son. This is crazy. Come on, Ace. Yeah.
Uh-oh, everyone. Luke Skywalker's gone totally daffy.
Uh-oh. Time for me to take over this book. I guess I'm the main character now.
Time to 28 Skidoo.
Yes. You heard the girl. He's bluffing. Now get back, you simpering cowards. And then, boom. Poom!
Yeah, we get 5 whole pooms on this bottom panel here.
Holy shit. Luke Skywalker's killing everybody. He's gone insane.
Okay, so...
man, he's crazy.
We get a little bit of poomage, and then on the next page, with a bang and a whimper, Cloud City sinks.
Yeah, and you're like, whoa. This comic's going there, man.
Yeah, as Cloud City sinks, all the Imperials are scampering back to their shuttle and flying away. In seconds, the Imperial troops ship rockets outward as desperate passengers desert a foundering ship. Like the drove of tail-tucked rodents they are.
I was going to say, did you like the Treese moment of, wait for me, I mean, retreat!
Yeah. I mean, classic Imperial losing face in the wake of an emergency, right?
I think Treese is one of the better Imperial bad guys we've come across. Like, in terms of just like a sniveling little weasel.
Totally. I'm glad he survives, because, he totally makes it out of here.
He's what I want in an Imperial villain. Like, a guy who's got, this was his big chance. He's got a little bit of power, and he's going to be like, dude, this is the ticket to the big time, baby.
What's his name? Rampart in the Bad Batch series is a great example of that same kind of thing.
It's a thing we're starting to see more so in the Disney era, where we're starting to fill in more of the like. I like establishing the Empire as an organization. I always talk about how much I love. Was it Subdirector Krennic in Rogue One? Because I just love the idea of Empire middle management. Here's a guy who's just trying to climb the ladder.
Yeah, totally.
Like that's great, and then Andor has a ton of that, of course.
Go, because we have the whole like Imperial whatchamacallit. Oh my god, why am I blanking on their like secret police? ISB.
Oh yeah. But I mean, that's where you literally do get like day-to-day meetings about crime stats and stuff. You know, like,
yeah, it's great.
It's like, oh man, yeah, no, the Empire is actually super boring on a day-to-day. It would have to be.
So success, but is it? Because everyone's just like, Luke, you've gone mad. We're all gonna die.
And he's like, no, you're not.
What do you think of this turn? Because yeah, Luke is like, wait, hold on. It was a bluff. I just blew it up a little bit.
It's a little convenient, is what I'll say about it.
And it implies a level of control in Luke Skywalker's ability with the Force that is like absurd in terms of he was able to just blow up the primers of each of the bombs, not the explosives themselves, and make it seem like the entirety of Cloud City just dipped a little bit.
Also, once again, these Ugnaughts picking up their camera, which is not only a camera from the 1930s, but it's got the giant tripod on it, and they're carrying it around, once again, like old footage you see of the Stooges, you know, with a camera. Whoop, 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 whoop. And then getting very silly when Lando grabs Luke by the collar, and he's like, no rush, look, buddy! Just because you're good friends with the Force doesn't make you a god.
Well, it sort of does, Lando, if you'll let me explain.
Well, also, maybe explain immediately. Like, the idea that he's just like, what? What do you all work? Right, I haven't told you we're not going to die.
Yeah, when Luke's like, come on, relax, it was a trick.
Yeah. Not very Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, I mean, Luke can
And
have
then
like a rambunctious scamp side to him, but I don't think now's the time.
No, not in this kind of situation where it's like, he wouldn't let his friends be like, oh, what? You thought you were going to die? You, come on, guy. And then you want to hit him? Ladies first. I mean, talk about some, like, Preston Sturges banter. My God.
Yeah, this is how, like, an old-timey noir goes out to black on a panel like this.
The end. This has been a Warner Brothers production, yeah.
But now we get to the last page as suddenly everyone came back to Cloud City.
Hey, man, everything's good again. And they're having a giant parade. There's tons of people there now. This can't all be Ugnaughts, right? Who else is up?
These are all the people that also got evacuated from Cloud City.
To the surface, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where were they living?
In the swamp somewhere.
Like, we understand the I'm willing to accept that, like, Ugnaughts have a city, and I guess they were maybe commuting to work up on Cloud City, but they live on the surface. But, like, where was anybody else? It doesn't matter.
Cloud City is the Pittsburgh of Bespin, all right? You gotta you live there and you work there, but in the suburbs out in the country, that's where your family's at.
Yeah, all right, whatever. And then this insane thing about, like, this, like, everything's great, and Luke's like, except for I'm kind of upset that Treese got away, and Lando's like, oh, I wouldn't be too sure about that.
Okay. Did you think we were going to get a mention of Argyle again in this fucking issue?
No, I never, yeah.
So, look, good on this comic for remembering things, but not things that we, like, hotly debated at the time might have been the worst issue of the book we read up to that point.
Oh, yeah. Pretty bad.
Whole, like, Vader's private bank account on this, like, planet where you're not allowed to take minerals off lest ye be killed.
Yeah, I mean, the entire thing about Vader getting one up on Leia by just reading a rule book seems a little, you know. Subsection 4 clearly states that, don't like that.
So, Lando has this comeuppance here against Treese at the end where he's like, look, Treese was making a lot of extra cash off of Cloud City, but what if Darth Vader found out about him skimming off the top?
So that's actually the thing. You said you're glad he lived. I don't think he did, because this is definitely implying, like, ha ha ha, Vader's gonna murder him.
John, how much do you think Vader gives an iota of shits about some little toady skimming off the top?
I think we also talked about this in general. The idea that Darth Vader has a bank account seems insane. Hold on, I just need to get some cash from the ATM, and just give me a second here.
There's some kind of like Sith black card that he's issued by the Emperor that just like pulls directly from the Imperial slush fund, right?
Damn it, I can never remember my PIN. Ah, shit. The security question. First pet. Oh, God.
No. Does 3PO count?
Yeah, was it 3PO? Did I say 3? Oh, shit. Now it's locked me out for the next 15 minutes. God damn it.
Wait, does it count as the image of the bicycle if it's just the handle on the third panel of the image? I can never tell.
Great. Now I have a new captcha. Oh, no. This is ridiculous.
Wait, hold on. Does a scooter count as a motorcycle? Does that one count?
Oh, they charged my account? I specifically canceled that subscription. I said I wasn't watching it anymore. No, this is absurd. No, it's insane. What is Vader spending money on? I really... He's spending money for the Empire. I guess somebody had to pay for that fucking awesome lava castle. Yeah. That thing ain't free.
Anyway, that's the end of this book as everybody flies away from Cloud City.
Yeah.
Do they leave Lobot in charge?
I think that's what's implied.
They never say that, but...
Yeah, maybe that was just my assumption.
Because, Lando presumably flies away in the Falcon here, and...
Yeah, Lando's not going to stay and run Cloud City. He just wants to make sure it's, okay, but then he's taking off.
And they're really banking on the idea the Empire doesn't swing back around and check back up on this place.
I know, it does seem like this is ripe for the picking now.
I mean, Luke even says, looks like Cloud City's going to be okay. With luck, the Empire will think she crashed and they'll forget all about her.
No, man, doesn't it seem like there's a lot of money to be made off of Cloud City? So they probably won't?
I mean, the whole idea is that they're mining Tabana gas here, and if that resource is still plentiful, why would they just not try again with something else?
I don't understand.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Everything's okay, John. Everything is okay.
That's the thing that's crazy about this comic, of course, right? Is there's so much stuff that's like, nah. You know, because we're so used to tie-in comics like this filling in stuff or answering questions. To see one that just raises them and then is like, don't worry about it, is, it really takes you back to a time when these were so ancillary.
Well, and it speaks to this mentality of the issue-to-issue story, that while it can tie into a larger segment of the canon, you're really focused on telling this singular story, and if we're not worried about what comes tomorrow. We're just worried about getting the issue out this month, right?
That's the thing is, another reason I'm surprised when they bring back Argyle, not just because we didn't like that issue, but the idea being that anyone is thinking about this as a long-form narrative seems to not be the case when we read it on a regular basis, right? The idea of are you guys attempting to craft a story? Because it doesn't feel that way.
Well, and we're entering this era of specifically Marvel Comics, too, where that is changing, right? Longer story arcs. I mean, we're right smack dab in the middle of Claremont's X-Men.
As much as we talk about, people talk about the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby run of Fantastic Four, the Stan Lee, Steve Ditko run of Spider. Those aren't runs in the same way that, Frank Miller's Daredevil or Walt Simonson's Thor are runs. They were on it, but those that, particularly, we'll talk about, one of the things that I think is one of the reasons that Simonson run is so impactful is it really does feel like, oh, this is you read that arc and it's satisfying. By the end of it, you're like, I've been on something. There's been a story that has been a beginning, middle, and end to this. Even if Thor keeps going as a comic, this definitely feels like someone's Thor story. And that's certainly more how we view comics now.
Whereas these issues of Star Wars, we might have a two-parter like we just had, and sometimes those story elements carry forward. Sometimes we'll even have returning characters. How many times did Valance show up before they just threw him into a boiling lake? But it never feels like there's any true permanence in the world until we hit one of the movies. And there can't be by its very nature, right?
Yeah, I mean but what the thing I do think, and I'll give credit to Archie Goodwin on this, is I was liking when they were doing stuff like the House of Tag, and it was like, oh, and I think this is more what we see the comics doing now, is we can create things that can be both introduced and resolved within the comics.
Right. And the thing we're rubbing up against, I think, here with as we wrap up this issue is it feels a little truncated when they all wrap up within an issue or two. The fact that there's no real ongoing thought to this book, even if they are like legitimately treading water between movies.
Yeah.
Even the Marvel comics today have shown that you can tell longer ongoing stories that fill in gaps here.
I mean, once again, it is kind of a detriment to this book specifically that we're literally reading the better version of it at the moment. Like, that like Marvel is currently doing exactly where we are in this story now, and it's really good. But yeah, I do think that's a point about it is it just, even Michelini doing more so than Goodwin, it still does feel a little bit like I have no idea where these movies are going, so let me just sort of like do as little damage as possible. Or even like this is a perfect example of, oh, great idea if you're thinking about after Empire, Lando has to come back to Cloud City and sort of reckon with what he did. But this isn't that. It gets so goofy that it's like, oh, you're not really taking that seriously. Is like, let's really dig into who Lando is.
Yeah, and look, I've been enjoying the Michelini issues way more than the Goodwin Infantino stuff so far.
100%. They are, I mean, I do agree with that. They are very fun. This is very fun, but it is so silly that it becomes frivolous, of course, too. I mean, that's the thing about it, is it's not, it's there are good ideas, but like there's the fucking Ugnaught news crew immediately is like, okay, so this isn't like serious Star Wars. Gotcha.
It is still a funny book.
Yes.
It is disposable. It is something to boost sales at Marvel, and it is something that is aimed at children.
Very much so. I mean, the kids will love the Ugnaughts. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
And kids will think an Imperial skimmer is cool, because I probably would have too. Not at the time, probably, at 5 or 6, I wouldn't have been thinking, no, wait a minute, that seems pretty ineffective when they have...
Why does the Empire need a fan boat?
Right, but it would have just been like, oh, cool, another Empire vehicle. Mom, take me to Target and buy me a Imperial skimmer.
Yeah. This one with real rotating fan blades, and it floats in the bathtub.
I mean, you're talking to a G.I. Joe kid who was all like, I need the battle wagon. Yeah, never had... By the way, what was that?
What is the name of the G.I. Joe whose only domain is swamp stuff?
Oh, shit, he does have a name, actually. And he's got a pet...
I didn't know this was a real guy.
Oh, God, he's got a pet gator. Oh, shit, what's his name? People are yelling at this.
There is an actual G.I. Joe who does that?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. I was joking, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
Oh, what is his name? I'm looking it up now, and people are yelling it at the thing.
Is it Bayou Bill?
Crocmaster!
Crocmaster, of course it is.
And he's got his pet croc with him.
Crocmaster is the perfect Venn diagram name for the classic game of Masters of the Universe character or G.I. Joe.
Crocmaster is actually a villain. He's a Cobra.
Oh,
agent,
sorry. Yeah.
But yes, but he is that idea of he's specifically the head of security for Cobra Island.
Sure. Yeah. Why not? Which has a swamp, I guess.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
But they're not. The Joes won't get in when Crocmaster 6 crocs on them.
Wait. So, is there Cobra fan boats?
Oh God, there must be. I will say, I'm a big fan of the G.I. Joe Classified line, which is the adult collectors, really nice figures that Hasbro's been doing, and they did just recently put out a Crocmaster with his crocodile Fiona.
This crocodile's name is Fiona.
You just come with a whip, and there's a chain leash that you can have him be walking the croc.
Wow. Awesome.
I don't own that one. I own several of the other classified figures, but that one.
Okay.
I haven't. Crocmaster, believe it or not a priority for my collection.
It's right up there with Snow Job.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll get them, but I'd probably get Snow Job before I would get Crocmaster, actually. No offense to Crocmaster. He does great work with the croc. Yeah. Well, and hey, and on that note, if you want more from us here at this show and every show on the Punch Up Entertainment Network, you can head over to our jam-packed Patreon page. So much content on there.
So much we couldn't even fit all of it on the page.
That's how crazy it is. It's multiple pages.
Well, isn't there a whole Google Drive at a certain
There's a whole
level?
Google Drive of archived stuff. Yeah, right at the first level, you get access to a whole Google Drive filled with past shows that even I forgot about some of them. Did you know we did a whole show about the Incredible Hulk TV series? My God.
Oh no, I had to strip that from my brain, John, for good reason.
Yeah. I will say I did get rid of those DVDs because I was like, well, I'm never watching these again.
I did it the once.
Yeah, it's like that was a worthy investment for that. I don't think I'm going to put these on. Anyway, you can head over to patreon.com/punchupent. That's punchupent. And check out all the awesome stuff over there. We have different levels, different spin-off shows, and all kinds of stuff, as well as help support us here at the network.
Absolutely. The other way you can help support us is to head over to our YouTube page. That's youtube.com/@punchupentertainment. There you can watch all of our shows, including this one. And I honestly think that's the best way to watch this show anyway, because you can read the comic along with us and see that weird-ass Ugnaught news crew. All of our other shows, including the IP Squad, Camel Jones Meet the Monsters, Material Components, are all also there on the YouTube page. While you're there, please like, comment, subscribe. Let us know in the comments below. What kind of news crew do you think would be in a Rhodian society? Do you think they're more of like avant-garde kind of guerrilla journalism? Do you think the Wookiees are more like behind the desk kind of like research-oriented news crews? I'd be curious to get everyone's takes.
Indeed. By the way, Gregorian, before we go, 2 follow-ups about G.I. Joe Swamp Combat.
God.
This is your fault.
I know.
There is a vehicle which is called the Cobra's Chameleon Swamp Skier.
Good.
And I know you were wondering, I was too, if there's a Crocmaster, there has to be an equivalent heroic character. You're talking about Muskrat, folks, who is their top swamp combat agent of G.I. Joe. He honed much of his skills during his youth in Louisiana's swamps.
Sure. Yeah.
He has a gigantic machete as his weapon.
Of course.
So there you go, folks. I know you were wondering, and I'm sure, once again, I'm sure there's enough people watching this show who are Joe fans going like, how could they not talk about Muskrat?
Well.
As much G.I. Joe as I've read, I don't recall ever meeting Muskrat. But...
On that stellar note, John, I think that's going to have to wrap it up here.
That's going to have to do it. Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
On a Muskrat note, as always, I have been Mike Ergoni.
I'm John Campbell.
And remember, may the panel be Muskrat.